So I'm pleased and excited to introduce Shana Steigerwalt, is the founder of the Modern Driven Media, a Philadelphia-based inbound marketing company specializing in social media. Launching as a social media agency in 2015, Modern Driven Media always believed in internet as a crowded, noisy place, and in order to be successful, they aim to eliminate interruptions by personalizing content and focusing on building trust and providing value. They team up with HubSpot, which is an inbound marketing software company, never heard of them, which shared a similar mindset and model to scale their offerings and provide more comprehensive, integrated approach to clients. So today we're going to hear Shana talk about how to increase your revenue through social media, which is always a challenge for any business these days, but it's a good place to be. She's going to talk about some of the goals, how to attract attention and build a community, generate leads, and pay-to-play advertising. And with that, Shana.
Thank you. All right. So a lot of things that we typically talk about when it comes to social media is building up engagement, growing your following, different things along those lines. And while that's all very important, at the end of the day, you're on social media to grow your business. So how many of you are currently on social media for your business today? Great. How many are not? Okay, great. So what types of businesses do we have here tonight? Someone want to shout out? Cybersecurity. Real estate. Salon. Okay. Mortgage. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So we have a lot of variety. And one of the most important things is realizing that you need to figure out what will generate revenue for you. Why are you online? What are your goals? We're going to walk through some of that today. So likes are nice, conversions are better. Don't get lost in the fluff metrics, the vanity metrics, really what's going to help your business generate leads and produce revenue. So again, my name's Shana Steigerwalt. I am the founder and president of Modern Driven Media. We started off as a social media agency in 2015 and quickly realized that social media is only one part of an overall strategy. And we were able to grow our team, add in more services to really help all of our clients. So we specialize in content marketing. So distributing content, creating content across different advertising platforms in order to help generate leads for your business. So I'm going to start with a quote. People do business with you because you help them get what they want. They do not do business with you because you help them get what you want. And I think that's something that's very important to keep in mind. So a lot of times we're on social media and you're posting things that you want them to do for you. At the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about them. And that's oftentimes something that's difficult to get past. You know, you have promotions, you have products, you have services that you just want to share with the world. And that's great, but really what's going to provide value to your audience? At the end of the day, this is a two-way communication platform where you're able to build relationships. So in order to build a relationship, you have to have some level of trust. And so by building up that trust, that's going to allow you to, grow your business, grow your brand, and really focus on a long-term relationship rather than just a short-term sale. All right, so popularity does not equal profits. All right, so I don't care how many followers you have. If none of those followers are doing anything for your business, it doesn't matter. And that's oftentimes the biggest hurdle when it comes to social media. Likes don't always translate into sales. Followers do not always translate into dollars for your business. So it's important before you even start thinking about what revenue you can be growing on social media, you have to think about the metrics that are most important for your business. And with all the different varieties of businesses that we have here tonight, it's going to be different for each one of you. What does successful online marketing look like to you? Is it just building awareness so people come to your salon and step into your salon? Is it you're generating leads online where then your salespeople are going to follow up? Is it an e-commerce store where they can actually purchase directly through your website? These are all things that are going to be different between each of your businesses. So it's important to figure out what, generating revenue means for you in an online world. So before you think about driving revenue with social media, there's a few things that you want to make sure that you have a full understanding of before you get started. So you want to understand your audience. Again, we're coming back to that first quote of, people don't want to do things that are for you. They want to do things that are for them. So understand, what platforms are they on? I am the biggest advocate of not being on every social media platform. You might talk to other people who completely disagree, but you want to be on the platforms that your audience is on. If you don't have an audience on Instagram, even though it's popular, don't be on it. Invest your time where your audience is, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Facebook, TikTok, all these platforms that are coming up. Do it well. Don't distribute all of your time across all platforms if it's really not providing you equal value.
Okay, so Shana, tell us how each person in this room can determine which platform their audience is living on.
You could always ask your audience, right? You can start with your current customer base. Where are they? Where are they finding information? How are your clients finding you currently? There's a lot of different research. You go on Google, you can see what some different trends are about what platforms are on, but the best way to figure out where your audience is to ask them yourselves. Figure out what platforms they're on, which ones they're most active on, which ones they're actually doing research on. It's going to vary. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to being active in the places that your audience is.
Microphone. I forgot the microphone. So I'm a big proponent of using Google My Business because I tell people that local searches will bias for local products and local businesses. And so the number one tool that I use when I set up a website with a client is to make sure that they are being verified on Google My Business so that they do show up 1 mile away from a search.
Absolutely. Google's always going to reward people that are using their products. So especially if you're a local business where people are looking to get directions or looking to find out all of your contact information, you definitely want to be on Google My Business. What was that? Never heard of it? So basically what Google My Business is, we can talk after this too, so I can give you a little bit better of a rundown, but it's basically your address book on Google, let's just say. So you're able to put all of your contact information on there. Google's one of the biggest search engines. So if you have all of your information on there, it looks at your company as a trusted company, as a verified company, and then will then promote you in local searches and with different keywords. So it's another avenue for you to get ranked on Google. So what do they want to know? Again, this is coming back to the idea, how are you providing value to your customers? This can be entertaining them. This can be educating them. This can be building up a relationship. It's not all about just selling yourself. And I think that's where most people go wrong in their organic strategy. People don't like being sold to. People will buy from you if they feel comfortable with you, if they feel comfortable with your brand, and they feel like you're going to provide them value. So don't just try to sell to them. Understand what they want to know. Understand relevant conversations that are around your brand, around your service, around your offerings that can really contribute to a conversation, not just shouting a message at someone.
You might be covering this later, and if you are, you can ignore my question, but do you follow or do you recommend to your clients to follow the buyer's journey?
Yes.
And if so, could you explain what that is to this audience?
Yep. So that will actually go into the next section when it comes to creating goals. But basically your buyer's journey is understanding what they're doing before they buy into your offering. So what research are they doing? What platforms are they on? How are they being sold to? What is your sales cycle? So it goes through the awareness phase, into the consideration stage, into the closing stage. So we'll come back around to that in a little bit, but you're going to be producing content for each stage of that buyer's journey because people are going to want to know things based off of where they are when you're selling to them. How do they interact with your business? So again, this comes back to, are they calling and having conversations with you? Are they filling out forms online? Are they writing into a web chat? Are they just stopping in? How are they actually working with your business? And finally, how do they buy from you? Again, this is where it's going to be different for each person in this room. Are they coming into your storefront? Are they purchasing something on your website? Are they filling out forms? It's important to understand your audience so that way you know how to best market to them. Next, you're going to want to create your goals. So again, you can get lost in the vanity metrics of followers, likes, comments, but at the end of the day, are those what are generating revenue opportunities for you? How does social media play into the customer journey? So again, this is the whole idea of the buyer's journey. Not all businesses are going to be a direct correlation to purchases on the website. So it's not always that immediate impulse buy that's coming from social media, but it could be that long-term relationship that you're building. It could be that first way to establish rapport, the first way that they can see your brand. But then there might be other marketing avenues that you're going to follow up with them in order to retarget them, in order to continue to send them information. So social media oftentimes is in this awareness stage of them just getting to know your brand because they're looking for the offering that you have, but it might not be that last thing that closes them. So understanding where social media comes into play when people are going to buy from your business. What actions do you want your audience to take? So for everybody that's in the room right now, what are you using social media for? That might be a hard one if you're not really sure what your strategy is yet. Events, okay. So if you have events, your goal is to make sure that people are responding to your events, coming to your events, but it could be the registration. So you might be driving them to your website to register for an event so that way you know who will be in attendance. New listings, okay, great. Now with the new listings, talk to me a little bit more about this. Is this just getting it out there so people are aware, or are you asking them to do something from those new listings?
Well, things have changed over the last couple months with the MLS, but up until then, I was doing it coming soon,
Okay,
and that would generate, 12,000, 14,000 hits
Mhm.
and several thousand engagements. And then I would have an open house like 2 weekends later,
Mhm.
and I would promote that. Same property, same pictures, and it was great. I
Mhm.
mean, 125 people through an open house in 2 hours.
that's great.
I mean, it was really good. I targeted the area,
Mhm.
and it's super for
Mhm.
that. Just notification, just letting people know. It's now they've taken away the coming soon opportunity in the MLS.
Okay,
So I can't publicly promote any of my listings until I'm ready to put them in the MLS within 24 hours of that.
Did they replace it with anything, or they just took it away?
No, they took it away.
That's
They're
bad.
tying our hands. It's terrible.
Oh, that's bad.
They just decided they were going to do that, the MLS. I don't know whose side they're on. I don't know who decided, but now you can't do that.
oh wow.
It's terrible.
But so then your goal was to get people to show up to a property and
Yes.
walk through. Okay.
Yes, and 8 times out of 10, several offers came in. It was sold that day.
That's great.
I mean, that's how how well it worked,
sure.
and they stopped it.
Mm-hmm. And it's important. One of the things that you said was that you were able to target specific people. So we'll come back around to that as a strategy, but you need to know what your goal is when it comes to social media. So
Right.
for you, your goal was to get people to walk through a property.
But it was not only that, because I have a website
Mhm.
with my Facebook pixel in there.
Great.
So I gathered all of their name, their phone number,
Mhm.
their email addresses, and I have it listed in my Facebook ad what property it is. So I know
Correct.
how much money it is. So when I get another listing that's either in that area or in that price range, I can shoot a blast
You
email
know
out
exactly
to
where it
them.
needs to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's been great, but things are changing, ever changing.
Sure.
So I have to figure out a new way.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's always the interesting thing. So while your industry is changing, so is the social media landscape. new platforms are coming up, changes are being made, algorithms are changing. So it's important to keep up with all things, but you're also battling that with your own industry as well. So it makes it difficult. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to want to figure out what your goal is. If you simply are on social media because someone told you you have to be, but you don't really know how it's helping you gain traction with growing your business, that's something you really need to sit down and figure out what it is. Do you want to drive calls? Do you want to drive people to your website? Do you want them to fill out a form? Do you want them to buy something on your website? Do you want them to come to an event or come to an open house or just come to your location? Determine what it is that's needed for your business. Then you can start putting some strategies in place.
So Shana, I know you've had great success with other clients. Could you walk us through a couple of success stories?
Sure.
Examples of things that you've done that follow this this roadmap here and what the results were?
Sure. So I'll give 3 very different examples quickly. We have a client in the hospitality industry that's a restaurant. So one of the things that we're doing with them is, you know, we're driving people in with their new menu items. So if we know they're based in Center City, and we know that there's some people in the suburbs that look at this restaurant as a staple to go to, as a high profile restaurant. And so we did something for a night out in the city where we were able to partner with some of the theaters in Center City to offer a discount if they wanted to come to dinner at our restaurant and then, you know, continue on their night with a show. So with that, we're doing a lot of local awareness where we're trying to get people to come into the location. And that's we're showing them what we have to offer. We're showing them our new menu. So that's something that's a little bit more exciting to see on social media. People like seeing food. People like seeing a very nice experience. Their venue is absolutely gorgeous. A little bit easier. We have a technology client who is in the automotive industry. For them, it doesn't matter if anybody comes to their location. What's important for them is that they're generating leads online. So one of the ways that we do this is we provide what we refer to as content offers. So it's educational pieces of content that they have to download on the website that provides them information that they're interested in. It's a resource for them. And then from there, what we do is then we send them follow-up emails and we ask them to request a demo if it's something that they're interested in. So at that part, social media is actually more in the awareness stage and in just the relationship building stage, but we follow up with emails, our sales teams reaching out to them. But their goal is ultimately to generate, you know, name, shop name, phone number, and email in order to help them move forward with generating revenue for their business. Then in a completely different scenario, we work with a resort. So you can book directly on their website, and that's going to be something that we can track exactly the dollar amount that comes in from our advertisements. For them, what we're doing is we're retargeting anybody that's been on their website, looking at properties at certain times, and then we're following up with them through social media advertising with a slight discount to get them to actually lock in and book their reservation. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, whether it's driving people, again, into a venue, into a restaurant, into a salon, where you want to see that foot traffic. For others, it could just be generating leads where their sales team is following up and actually helping to sell their offering. Or it can be something that you're sending them right to the website where they can book, they can buy directly on there, where you can attribute exactly how much money goes in, how much money is generated from whatever it is that you're doing on social media. So they're all very different. One way isn't better than the other. You just have to figure out where social media falls into the buyer's journey for your business.
So I know last year you did an experimental project with a landscape company.
Yes.
Somebody we both know.
Mm-hmm.
Could you share with us the results of that? Because I know they were thrilled with the results you provided them.
Yep. So we were basically really locked in who they wanted to work with, right? We knew exactly who their target audience was, and we put, advertising dollars around targeting those specific people in that specific area that are looking for their specific service. And we were driving them to the website, and tracking how many people called from these advertisements. So again, it's not necessarily up to social media to sell it. It's just to get them to the point where they're talking with someone from your business to actually verify, moving forward with them.
And I think you use Facebook, right? Was that
Yes, we use Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, and Instagram. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but yeah, it was really successful. It comes down to, again, if you understand your audience and you know what it is that they're looking for, if you're speaking to them and to their wants and to their needs, it's going to capture their attention. It's not about you. It's not about your business. It's about your audience.
All right. So what filters did you use for Facebook for the landscape company?
So, all right, we're going back a year now. Let me think on this. So we definitely did zip codes. Okay. So we targeted it by zip codes based off of the communities that they were working in. We did some interest behavior around landscaping, outdoor design, some bigger competitors, HGTV. I think we did a little bit of retargeting with too.
Did you ever use Every Door Direct in that as well?
Have
you used Every Door Direct for those kinds of initiatives also?
We didn't for this campaign.
Okay.
But a lot of times what we've found to be most successful is when we drive people to a website and having the pixel, like you had said, on the back end of your website. Yeah, because you're capturing everybody, not just the people that came in through social media, but also the people that found you through search. And usually the people that are looking on search, they're actively pursuing finding someone to fit their needs. Social media.
I've never heard of Every Door Direct. Could you tell us what that is?
So Every Door Direct is a program by the U.S. Postal Service that you can research and get postcards produced and made, and they're only distributed to the mail carrier route that fits the demographics of what you're after. So if you wanted to find on the U.S. Postal Service that mail carrier route, you could have those postcards delivered only to Buckingham, only to Doylestown, only to Warrington. And the U.S. Postal Service will give you the demographic breakdown of the addresses in there, whether it is predominantly residential or predominantly businesses. And then if it's residential, is it high income, low income, what have you. So you don't have to get a mailing list. You just get the postcards, take them to the post office, and they give it to that mail carrier to put in every door.
And that's where social media can really, play well with other outlets. Social media, it's rarely will you see people just generating business through social media. Now, in some cases, it might be the predominant way that they're generating social media, but it's important to have a consistent brand all the way across your online presence. If it's not consistent, that's when people feel like you're not trustworthy, and that, you won't necessarily do what you say, because they're seeing different things all the way across. So having that consistent message when it comes from social media to mailers to your website, that's going to be very important. So again, creating goals, ultimately figuring out what is success to your business. And then finally, measure performance. This is probably the most important part of each of these things when it comes to learning how much revenue you're generating from social media. So you know your audience, you have goals, but a lot of times people don't have a way to track where people are coming from. And social media, oftentimes, again, it's that awareness piece. So people don't necessarily see how it fits into the bigger picture. You're able to track performance if you have a lot of people coming to your website, and you're generating leads. There's different ways that you can track performance, whether it's through Google Analytics, whether it's through Facebook itself. You're going to be using the pixel on the back end of your website to be able to track what's coming in from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from Instagram. If you're just looking for foot traffic, sometimes you might just have to ask, or maybe it's a specific promotional code that's only available on social media that you can say, okay, 5 people came in and used discount code XYZ. And that's a way for you to track. But if you don't have a way to track, you're just shooting in the dark, right? So it's important to figure out how you will measure what's coming in from social media. Again, you're going to have a lot of these vanity metrics that these social media platforms will show you, whether it's impressions, whether it's engagements, likes, clicks to your website. Clicks to your website are really great, but where are those clicks going when they're on your website? Are they actually generating leads for your business? Are they generating, revenue for your business? So you need to figure out what is the best way to track that for your brand. All right. And at the end of the day, data drives decisions. The more data you have, the better you'll be able to make decisions for your business because you have all the data right there. Every business is different. Not every business will have purchasing opportunities directly through their social media pages. Sometimes people aren't selling products on their social media pages. Sometimes it's just an avenue to build this relationship. So again, you can be driving traffic to your website. You can be generating leads. It can be a way to get customers to your doorstep. But at the end of the day, the data is going to show you what content is performing better, what people want to see if you're targeting the right person. So make sure that you have these metrics in place to really understand if this is working well for your business or if it's not. The great part about social media is that it's able to be flexible and you're able to change it very quickly. So if you're not looking at these numbers, again, you're going to be shooting into the dark. You're just going to be distributing content that might not have an impact on your business. But if you're looking to see, okay, people are responding well to this, or this is generating the most amount of clicks, or this is being shared with people that are going to be coming into our location, make sure you understand what metrics are most important for your business to see if it's working well or not.
Could you share with us your view of the difference between business to business and business to consumer as far as using social media is concerned? If there is a difference.
At the end of the day, business to business, you're still talking to people in a business. Social media is a social platform. So it's meant to have conversations. It's meant to build awareness. One of our most successful clients is B2B. And a lot of people don't feel like B2B is an avenue that's that great with social media. But at the end of the day, if you know who you're talking to within that business, you're not talking to everybody within a business. You might be talking to a salesperson within a business. You might be talking to a finance person within a business. You might be talking to the business owner. So you need to look at them as individuals to figure out, how you're best able to communicate with them. So
can you give us more detail, if you don't mind, of that example?
Sure. So our one client we always come back to, it's an automotive technology client. So they're speaking to auto repair shop owners. So, they own a shop. There's a bunch of different people working within the shop, but they're not necessarily selling to the technicians or the mechanics. They're selling to the shop owner. So what's important to the mechanics and the technicians is the efficiency and how well they're able to do their job. And if they're able to do their job quicker, that means they can ramp up their hourly costs because they're being more efficient. However, to a shop owner, they're looking at profit margins. They are looking at how to grow their team. They're looking at how to stay in business with some of these big brand competitors. So it's a very different conversation between everybody that's in the business. So you need to understand who it is that you need to talk to in order to work together. You're not talking to every single person in that business. You're usually talking to one type of persona in the business. And at the end of the day, that's no different than your consumer, B2C. All right. So again, some revenue KPIs. These ones are most common. Again, we probably have a few businesses that might not fall directly into this, but we're looking at lead generation, website conversions, online purchases, bookings, reservations, and then store visits. These are typically 4 of the most popular ways that you're able to attribute any KPIs to revenue. How many in here would say lead generation, someone filling out a form on your website, providing their information is a way that they're able to start to close deals? Okay.
Just for everybody, not everybody may know what the acronym KPI refers to.
So that is your key performance indicators. So again, those are those most important metrics that you want to pay attention to. Website conversion. So this could be someone that is requesting a demo on your website, is making a phone call on your website. Is anybody looking at that for their business? Online purchases. Is anybody in here e-commerce or can take payment directly through the website? Is that for all the events? Awesome. Okay. Yep. So with that, it's a little bit easier to directly correlate how much money comes from social media if you're able to track that. Not everybody has the ability to do that. Sometimes it's a longer relationship that needs to be formed, and social media is just a part of it. And then store visits, how many brick and mortar you're trying to drive people to your location. So.
Hold on, Christine. We'll get your mic. Raise your hand. Oh, I thought you had a question. Actually, I'm going to ask Christine to describe her business and how you might be able to apply social media to her business whenever you're ready to do that. Do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to give you the mic, Christine. Raise your hand.
You would pick the farthest person.
Yes, I want to make it difficult for you, Tom. So tell us how many stores you have and how many hairdressers you have.
Okay, well, I am a salon owner. I have a few salons, and I started also my own hair product line, an organic line. And we have an online store on Shopify. I do market it on Instagram, Facebook. I do everything pretty much that you're saying. And we get so many people on Instagram, but they're not buying on the store.
Okay.
So it's like
Christine wants to be the next John Paul.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
I love it. Okay.
Now we have people from Italy, Germany, everywhere. We can see where they're coming from to our store.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get to the store, we're not getting the sales that we would like to be getting.
Okay. So then what I'd be interested to see is, one, you have to determine why they're not buying, right? Is it, it's not an easy way for them to buy? Is it not the right price point? Is it maybe the wrong audience? Maybe they're not the best people to buy these products. So there's a bunch of different things that you're able to do with that. But so you're using a Shopify store. Yeah. Do you have your Shopify store integrated into Instagram and Facebook where they can buy directly? Okay. Okay. So then the efficiency is there because it makes it simple and easy for them. Are you doing any remarketing?
I'm sorry, with the
remarketing campaigns?
No.
So one of the things that I would recommend, and I can walk you through this a little bit more after, is looking to retarget the people that are clicking on these ads and are getting to maybe like the add to cart page but aren't buying, adding in a 10% discount code just to see if maybe you can get them in an impulse buy, but targeting people that have actually shown interest. So whether they've been to your website, whether they've clicked on any of your ads, those are people that are most likely the next person to buy from you. It'll just be getting to that point and providing them another incentive to do so. We
need to talk later.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Because again, and it's hard to say without seeing what your advertisements are, what some of your impressions look like, different things along those lines. But if you're not doing that, that's something that we've seen be really successful because they've already shown interest. So if by following up with them, getting back in front of them, and then incentivizing them, you might be able to have them close.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So now that we talked about the things that you must do in order to be able to track revenue, I have a few strategies that we've used that have been successful. We're going to end with advertising. Advertising to me is probably your best way to show revenue and drive revenue. But there are a few other strategies that I think you should consider. So we're just going to talk a little bit high level about these because, again, all of your businesses are different. So I'm more than happy to speak with anybody after to really personalize this to what it is that you're looking to do. So utilize people with influence. We talked about before, popularity does not always mean profit. However, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And they listen to people that they know, like, and trust. So there's two different ways that you can take advantage of this strategy. You can either look at the influencers in your community and look to partner with them. That doesn't always mean people that have the most amount of followers. Typically it's people that are most engaged or have a very tight-knit community and again, have influence over the people that they're working with. If you know anybody or have, even more importantly, customers where it comes into brand advocacy that are willing to speak on behalf of your business to similar people that could be in need of your services and offerings, that's going to be a really great way to drive revenue to your business. What's going to be most important with this, however, is being able to create trackable ways to measure revenue. So whether that is giving someone a tracking link, where let's say you're working with an influencer in your community. So if you're working with hair care, right? And you're doing products too. Are you selling to other salons? Okay. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit different of a situation and it might not fit your business model, but this is just going to be an example. So you're not selling directly to other salons, but say you have a good friend, owns their own salon, has a similar type of clientele that you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stock your shelves with 50 of this product. And this is going to be a way that you track how many people are coming to your, website to rebuy. It could just be, hey, offer this to any of your customers with a 5% off. And you give them a specific type of promotional code where you can say, okay, it looks like 10 people bought with John Doe's, code, right? Okay. It could just be providing them a tracking link, which some people may be using tracking links in here. Some people may not be.
Explain it.
So a tracking link is basically a customized URL that you can give a person to see how many times it's clicked on and what happens from that. So it's a slight variation, usually longer than what your original URL is, but it has tracking components in there where you can see the person you give that tracking link to, how many clicks they're, producing, and then how many leads are coming from that. But it's important, when you're looking at brand advocacy, your customers are your best referrals. If you look to encourage them to make recommendations, to provide reviews, to share with your friends, then that's oftentimes a way to, bring business back to your brand. At the end of the day, it's social, right? You want to be social, and the best way to do that is to give those referrals, give those recommendations. So that's always something that you want to encourage.
So I know Christine has a large database of friends and family. Mm-hmm. How can she use that? And this just isn't limited to Christine. This is true for anybody here in the room. How can she use that to create a custom audience in Facebook? I know there's a method for doing that, but maybe you can share it with us.
Sure. So custom audiences, there's a lot of different ways you can do a custom audience. So you can do your contact base where you upload contact information into Facebook, Instagram, different platforms, and you're able to retarget them with messages. But if you want to expand that audience, you can do what's called a lookalike audience. And that basically pulls in people that have similar qualities to the list that you uploaded. Facebook has a way to look at similarities between the contacts that you put up and then expand that out, to the levels that you want to go depending on how big you want your audience. And it pulls in similar types of people that are most likely to do what your brand asks.
Hold on, Carrie.
Question about the custom audience.
Sure.
In order to create a custom audience, you have to provide an email to the platform. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about providing a client's email to the platform? Does it get into the issues of confidentiality, privacy, and all that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm.
That's something that's a really good point. You're going to have to look at what it is your agreements are when people are filling out your website. So if you have, information that says this is how we're using your contact information, then, these are all things to pay attention to. You don't want to just be throwing random emails in that you don't have permission to use.
But isn't it true that most people whose email addresses you have are already in Facebook? So it's not like you're giving Facebook anything they don't already have.
Yeah, no. Well, the only way you'll be able to reach them is if you have their email and then it's also the same email that they're using on social media.
So when you create the custom audience
Mhm.
and you drop, let's say, 1,000 email addresses, does Facebook come back and tell you we have 913 of them already on Facebook and whatever the difference is are new to us?
So it'll
What
give you a
happens there?
percentage of how many match, but you won't see exactly which ones. Mhm.
So that's your point, Carrie, isn't it? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
They
and-
know, but they won't tell you.
And a lot of times, so this is a really great example for B2B brands. So a lot of times you'll have their business email, but that's not necessarily linked to their Facebook or their Instagram. So there's a level of just invalid emails. And then there's also a level of those aren't the emails that they're using for social media channels. So I've very rarely seen even like above 80% of actually being able to match, just because there's so many different variables that come into the matching of this. But the more information you have, if you have phone numbers, people also have their phone numbers connected to their social media accounts. So that's another way to, build up this list, zip codes, names, different things like that. The more you have, the more Facebook has to go off and build this audience. But in addition to that, so that's uploading contact information that you have. You can also do the retargeting, where it comes from pixels of how people are, moving around your website, or how people are interacting with your brand. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look to re-engage people that you've already interacted with. And usually those are the people that are a little bit more likely to take that next step with your business, because they've already have familiarity with your brand. So going from there, produce great content. So again, social media is not just for selling. I hope you walk away knowing one thing, and it's this. It's, making sure that you're having conversations. You need to be able to nurture this audience. It's not always the way that directly correlates into sales, but it is a way to boost trust and, get your brand name out there. So really, you want to earn the attention. You want to provide value. And again, build trust. And then when it comes to producing great content, this is both organically as well as your advertisements. And make it easy with calls to action. So what do you need them to do? Make it easy for them. Include in the tasks and the actions that you want them to do. So, if you are a business that's lucky enough to be able to integrate in with these platforms to purchase something immediately, some of these impulse buys, you can use Instagram shoppable tags, Pinterest buyable pins, Facebook marketplace, and catalogs. But again, a lot of people in this room, from what we've already gathered, it's not that immediate of a process for them. It might be driving people to the website. It might be continuing to educate. It might be generating leads for a demo or a consultation or something along those lines. But you want to make sure you have some type of call to action with what you're putting out there if you want them to take a certain action.
Okay, so I qualify as being an old person.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know what a shoppable tag, a buyable pin is.
Mm-hmm.
So could you clarify?
Sure.
Explain that to us.
So for these are all specific actions you can take on each of these platforms, where you can buy directly through the platform. So for Instagram shoppable tags, let's say you are a clothing boutique. So you have, typically it's a Shopify website where you have all of your inventory feeding into Instagram, where it's basically your online store. They don't have to go to your website page because there's an integration there. They can automatically just pay with a credit card, with Apple Pay, whatever it may be, directly through the platform without having to leave. So it's the same with all of these. Facebook's usually the most common one. I don't know if anybody's realized that you can now send money back and forth through messages. So it's that whole idea of not having to leave a platform and making it super simple. And asking for, that purchase right then and there. This isn't going to work for everybody, because not everybody is selling products or, taking payments. online. A lot of times it's, that's something that's done offline. So this isn't going to work for everyone. Now, in your situation, you have the products that you can buy directly through Shopify. And if it's integrated, then, it's a one less step that they have to do, to go to your website to make these purchases. Engage with your audience. So social media, most people look at it as a distribution channel. So you're putting out content and you're hoping you get something in return. But a lot of really great conversations are started on social media. So you're able to reach out to targeted prospects. So let's say Instagram, right? If you are, looking for some type of audience, so let's say for events, right? If people are in a specific community and are using certain type of hashtags that are relevant to your events on Instagram, you might just, comment on one of their pictures or send them a direct message saying, hey, we have an event coming up that I feel like would be a great fit for you. We wanted to pass along the information. So again, this is a little bit more of, you have to be active. You have to put in the time to do this. But if you think about the conversations that you have, if someone's providing you value, if someone's taking the opportunity to reach out, give you good information, you may be willing to listen as long as it fits you and is relevant to you and is going to provide you value. So it could just be reaching out to target people that you want to, do business with, you want to attend an event, whatever it may be. It could be engaging in conversations. A perfect example of this is with our one restaurant client that we work with. Someone said, oh, okay, well, what is your, perfect example, Valentine's Day, right? Do you have a special menu for Valentine's Day? We wrote back, we do have a special menu, but we also have our standard menu available. Here's a link to book online. We're booking up fast, so make sure you put in a reservation. We saw they made the reservation. So again, it's taking that time to build up the rapport, have conversations, provide them answers to their questions, and getting them to that next step. If you just said, yep, we have a special menu. Okay, that's great, but it's not really encouraging them to do anything. We have another client that is a used car dealership. Hey, is this car still in stock? Oh, it just sold. If you end the conversation there and then don't provide them with, oh, no, we don't have this vehicle available, but we do have similar ones here, here, and here, it's giving them that opportunity to, again, do business with your brand. So the conversations can go a long way. Again, answer all questions, make sure you're active, make sure you're available, and respond to all feedback, good and bad. This is something that people hesitate with. Oh, I have a bad comment. I have a bad review. I want to delete it. Don't delete it. Respond to it appropriately. A lot of times your best relationships and your strongest connections come from an initial bad experience that you acknowledged, took the time to fix, and now are on a better relationship with them, and they feel like they can trust you because you're doing what's best for the customer. So again, engage with your audience. This is something that's going to be more time consuming. You have to put in the effort for, but typically you see a good return on investment with how much time and you're putting into it. Advertising. So this is my best recommendation in how you want to show revenue from social media. Social media is a pay-to-play game. Organic reach is next to nothing. It's the name of the game. It's now a crowded marketplace. You have a lot of people that are trying to advertise on there. You have a lot of brands that are on there. So you need to pay to get in front of some of the people that you want to reach. And what's great about social media is it's still a very cheap way to advertise compared to a lot of other platforms. But as long as you're, again, coming back to understanding your audience, setting goals, and being able to track that, this is where you're going to see the most value in contributing revenue to social media. So the 5 things that you really need to do when it comes to creating an advertisement, I'm not going to go in too much of how to build an advertisement because that's a conversation in and of itself, and I'm more than happy to speak to anybody about that after. But the 5 main steps that you want to take when it comes to advertising is you're going to choose your objective. Again, this comes back to understanding your audience and what it is that's most important for your business. Choose your objective. Is that driving website traffic? Is it just getting awareness? Is it trying to get people to come into your store? Determine your audience. Be specific with who you want to target. The way that you're going to be successful with advertising is getting the right message to the right person at the right time. So the more segmented your audience is and the more specific your message is towards them, you're going to have a better return on your investment because you're not competing with everybody. You're only competing with the people that are, most likely to move forward with your business. Create the messaging and build the campaign. Again, make sure your messaging is aligned with who your audience is, what they're looking to get from your business, and where they are in their buyer's journey. Are they just simply, learning about your business? Or have they already been exposed to your business? Have they already been to your website? Have they already downloaded a piece of content? If so, maybe it's asking them to request a demo. Maybe it's asking them to do a consultation, but understand where they are in the level of, working with your business. Set a budget. So budgets, again, you can go a long way with a small budget on social media. But really when it comes to determining your budget, you need to understand the competition in your audience. How many people you want to target, how many campaigns you want to do. So there's a lot of different things that'll go into your budget. And one of the great things, especially on Facebook's advertising platform, you'll be able to see just how many people you'll reach with the budget that you have, and you'll be able to shift that around to see, how much $100 extra will do for your business or, what have you. So there's tools that you can use directly on these platforms to get a sense of where you fall compared to other competitors that are targeting that same audience. And finally, measure and optimize. Again, social media is a quick moving platform and you have the ability to remain flexible. So if you see that you're not generating the results that you had anticipated, you can pivot your strategy. You can start a new audience. You can change your messaging. You can look to have a different objective. But it's important, again, data drives decisions. So if you're not paying attention to what's happening, if you're not looking at your analytics, and you're not testing out different things, then you're missing out on a lot of business opportunity because you can change in the moment. It's all real-time data. So again, ads without intention will not benefit your brand. You need to have a specific goal that you're trying to reach, or it's not going to help you generate revenue. If you're simply doing a boost, which I think boosts are great, you're going to be able to get in front of more people. But if you don't really have a purpose to why you're putting $100 behind a post, then you're really not going to get any closer to achieving your goals. You need to know exactly what it is that you want your social media audience to do. So there's a few different advertising objectives that are most common when it comes to social media. So here's a list. It's local and brand awareness. So again, just getting your name and your brand out there to as many people as possible that fall into your target category. Engagement. So these are some of the metrics where it's sharing your post, commenting, liking, video views. So if you're a brand that's actually producing video content or doing live streams, this is going to be something to extend the amount of, not only the amount of people that are seeing your videos, but also how long they're watching your videos. Website traffic, which I think is probably a little bit more relative to most people in this room. App installs. Lead generation, again, generating, there's a few different ways that you're able to do this on social media, specifically at Facebook. They give you an option to have a form directly on the platform where they don't have to go to your website to fill it out. Again, that whole idea of efficiency. Website conversion. So if you have a specific action that you want them to take on your website, you're driving them to the website, but you're not just measuring the traffic that's going there. You want them to accomplish a specific goal on your website. That's where the website conversions come into place. Catalog purchases. So if you have a Shopify that's integrated into your social media channels, you can look at the direct purchases right from there. And finally, store visits. So store visits, there are a few different ways that you're able to measure this. If you are depending on your business and your brand, Facebook can open up an objective called store visits. If you have multiple locations and you're looking to drive people, into your stores, you can resubmit in customer information to see how many people saw your ad and then came into the store to purchase within a specific amount of time. This isn't available to everyone. It's a process that you have to go through to get approved. And again, you have to fall into a specific type of category. But again, you're looking to drive foot traffic to a location. So these are some of the advertising objectives. Oftentimes what we do is we have a combination of different objectives running at one time. So we might just be looking for brand and local awareness for people that have really never worked with our business before. So we're getting, a lot of attention, getting our name out there, getting our offerings out there. But then based off of who's interacting, who's clicking on it, who's going to our website, we'll do a retargeting campaign to get them to go to our website and download an ebook that gives them a little bit more information on social media or SEO or whatever they may be most interested in. But again, it's that whole idea of providing value. But we've seen these all used in a combination at the same time, because you're going to, again, have people that are at different levels of working with your business. So you want to cater to what it is that they're hoping to get. And these are just some high-level statistics on what the advertising platform really looks like on social media. So in 2019, there was over $89 billion spent on these advertising platforms. So for those of you who do not have any money behind any of what you're doing on social media, these people are going to beat you out. So that's why your reach is so low. And that's why I always recommend, I would rather you all be very specific and very deliberate with your target audience, because the more narrow it is, your budget's going to go a longer way and your budget's going to be bigger to reach these people. So don't just try to do a broad audience just for the sake of, I hope so many people will see it. Be deliberate with who you're trying to reach. Have a very focused segment with a very specific message, so that way your dollar goes further. So from that 89 billion, there's 3.5 billion users on social media channels that are active on social media channels. So you can just see how big of an ecosystem this is, and how much people are investing into some of these platforms. And it's growing by 8.7% per year. So it's not slowing down. So this means, one, the prices are going to go up. So it's a good time to get into it now. We've already started to see some of these advertising prices go up. Currently, we're actually seeing it higher right now because we're in an election year. So there's a lot of additional dollars that are going in around politics. So you'll see things, rise based off of what's going on in the world, and different things along those lines. So this growth rate per year will actually be elevated this year, just because there's going to be that much more advertisements, for the election year. But these numbers don't lie. So it's working for people. It'll work for you as long as you have, again, a deliberate strategy to get you to that next level. So again, go ahead.
Hold on for a second, please.
On the different platforms, have you seen a shift? Facebook isn't as attractive to people. They're liking Instagram more. Like, where do you see the parity at this point? Where's it heading?
So it's going to depend on your audience. Right. So it really depends, because your audience may be shifting from one platform to another. So it's going towards more visually appealing. More visually appealing platforms. Instagram, photos, videos are very popular. So that's why this whole explosion of TikTok is going on right now. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you everybody needs to be on TikTok, because if your audience isn't there, then it doesn't matter. So TikTok basically is, so Rachel back here is our TikTok expert for our team. But it's basically short video clips, it took the place of Vine which used to be popular, where it was just a quick video looping platform. So again, this is short video content on a platform. But it just goes to show these new platforms that are popping up are very visually focused, video focused. So you're starting to see, if it's not a shift from platforms, it's platforms promoting that type of content even more. Mm-hmm.
So, can I ask a show of hands? How many people in this room have purchased something as a result of a Facebook promotion? Wow. Okay. That's more than 50%. That's higher than I expected.
Mm-hmm. And now, how many of you have also searched on social media for a company that you were going to buy something from or work with? So a lot of times it's also a reactive approach too. So they might have already decided to work with your business or buy one of your products, but they want to do that little extra due diligence to make sure that you have good reviews on social media and that you're active on social media. So as much as it's a proactive strategy, it's also reactive as well. And it's a way to continue to build those conversations with people that have already done business with you. So that way they stay loyal and they feel like they're a part of your brand.
Could I ask somebody who raised their hand to my question to tell us what they bought and what that whole experience process was? Tom, give the microphone to somebody. All right, Mike.
Yeah. I'll
right,
do that because
tell us
I
your
bought
whole-
my very first thing through a Facebook ad, which
What
was
did you
a
buy?
pair of gloves that they consistently demonstrated you could like stick the whole glove in a bucket of water and it would not leak. It was waterproof. It was the super glove for $25. So I tried it. The only thing, and it was good, but the sizing was off. It wasn't quite the right size for me.
Did you buy it directly through, you said Facebook?
Yeah.
Did you buy it on Facebook or did you go to their website to buy it?
I clicked right on a link on Facebook and it took me right to where I could do the transaction.
Yep. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
It gives you less time to second guess your decision.
Right. So whether I'll do it again, I don't know. It's the first time I tried. I was a little bit skeptical of Facebook ads, but I thought I'd try one and it was not quite what I was hoping for, but you know.
But it got you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But that's also when you come to think about it, you know, when you're looking to, the way I look at advertisements, right? I really don't like the word advertisements. The way I look at advertisements, it's noisy, it's loud, it's usually intrusive. But if you're providing content and providing information that's very integrated with the way people are already searching in their news feed anyway, they don't necessarily realize it's an advertisement. It's just something that is relevant in their timeline that they're going to click on. And sometimes it takes them a second to realize it's a sponsored post or, you know, it's a brand that they've never heard of before, but it's information that's really relevant to their interests, their needs, their behaviors or habits.
So can you share with us your experience of the effectiveness of using social media promotion, advertising, whatever word you want to use, based on age? Because you're my favorite millennial. I am certainly not a millennial, so there's a big difference in our ages. But talk to us a little bit about the teens, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. What's the difference in their perception of and use of social media for B2B or well, in this case, B2C?
I'm trying to think. I wouldn't necessarily say, I would say that it really depends on your product and your offering. I think the younger generations are more willing to believe the things that they see on social media. So some of the purchases or the leads generated, it may not take 3 or 4 or 10 times to get back in front of them before they commit to something. But at the same time, this younger generation knows as soon as they give you their email address that they're going to get ads from you all over. So it's, you know, it's a double-edged sword with that. But I think with the, you know, with older generations, it's more of a resource.
Careful now.
Oh, I'm just, Experience. All right. So I think it's more so a way to get information and do more research. I mean, I know even for me, I don't necessarily like to purchase directly through a social media channel unless I have already established relationship with a brand. That's just the way I am. You know, not everybody agrees with it. What was that? Why?
Why?
That's just, I think, yeah, it's a level of trust. And I think for me, I really identify with the brands that I work with, that I, you know, am buying from. So I want to make sure that one, it's like you had said, a quality product. And I want two, to make sure that it's, you know, it's relevant to my lifestyle, to my choices. The first thing I can admit to is I buy all event tickets through social media. So I'm a big music person. So I buy, you know, concert tickets right online, right from there. So that's where they get all my money. Products, I do a little bit more research, things along those lines. But again, the events that I'm going to, I've already have an established layer of trust with
So
them.
how do you begin to form the relationship in order for you to feel comfortable being able to buy something from that company online?
Provide value and produce good content.
All right. So what, in your example, what kind of value are you looking for? Give us an example of something other than music tickets that you bought online.
Let's see.
Bought from a Facebook ad, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure.
I know, really put me on the spot right now. So I can say, so this wasn't something I bought directly, but I signed up for after I was retargeted a few times. So right now we're actually looking for a new project management system that we're using with all of our clients. So I started by reading a few blogs that I found on social media. I did my research on Google. I was retargeted with ads from these different project management companies that provided blogs rather than just saying, hey, request a demo of our platform. So I was reading a few blogs. I saw a few case studies that were on those blogs. And, you know, after like a week, I was continuing to get this information because the retargeting is really a powerful tool. And then I request a demo through their website to actually go through and do a full tour of their platform. But it wasn't something I necessarily felt comfortable with yet because there's a lot of project management systems out there. Not all of them fit our needs. A lot of times, I mean, this whole process is a hassle because it's our operation. So it's going to be an investment not only of money, but time for our company. So I don't take that lightly.
So it sounds like in this example, it started with a Google search.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it wasn't somebody reaching you by Facebook. You proactively did a Google, I assume it was Google search,
Mm-hmm.
and then followed the trail of blogs, correct?
Well, I was retargeted with the blog. So I did a Google search, best project management system for agencies. And I got a list. I was taken to Workamajig. I was taken to Workfront. I was taken to Function Fox. And I looked, you know, got the names, jotted them down. Didn't do too much research, just built a list of things that I had to look into. But it was Workamajig that then retargeted me on Facebook because I went to their website already. And it was, you know, 3 ways to integrate a new project management system for your agency. Targeted to me as a marketing agency owner. They know my struggle is integrating this in a team, making sure that it's done right. But it wasn't, hey, request a demo. It was, hey, here's some valuable information because you're in the consideration stage right now. So we need to show you why our product really helps fix some of the you know, struggles that you're dealing with and things that you're most concerned about. Went to their blog from there. Then I didn't buy anything there. I didn't sign up for anything there, but kept seeing their name. And finally I was like, oh, you know what? I like what they have to say. They're providing me value before they're selling to me. I'm going to request a demo with them.
So when you look through your Facebook feed
Mm-hmm.
every day, have you found an item or found something that you immediately responded to that resulted in a purchase at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us an example?
My concert tickets weren't good enough for you?
No, the concert tickets. No, because you're going to do that anyway. You're going to go to whatever your concert ticket website is and just buy from them. Other than concert tickets, clothing, computer equipment,
Books, yep.
books.
Vacations, Airbnb.
You found that on a Facebook ad.
Mhm.
All right, walk
So
us through that one.
the Facebook ad, it was the exact Airbnb I was looking at that said, hey, buy now, your dates are available. So I've also done, I'm trying to think. I have bought a hair care product on there, so I can attest that that actually does work for salons and beauty products and things like that.
So wait, stop there. So you saw a Facebook
Mm-hmm.
post. What happened next?
I went to their website, did my research, and then made a purchase.
What made a purchase?
Yep. So that one wasn't directly through the Facebook platform,
But it took you to their website,
but it took me to their website to the exact
and
page
you
I
learned
needed
what
to
you
go to.
needed to learn, and then you bought on the website.
Mhm.
Never talked to a human.
Nope. Not in that situation.
Okay.
But there are a lot of instances where, you're not purchasing directly online. It might be a service offering that you have to get on the phone with someone, negotiate a price, figure out what level of commitment you're going to have with them. So there's a bunch of different things that, work for it. I feel like I'm a little bit of a tough person to ask because I'm very savvy to what marketers are doing. And I'm like, you're not going to get me because I do this to you too. So, I say that with, I'm very, very savvy to what's going on and how people are marketing to me. And sometimes I'm just a little bit, you're not going to get me. So, but for other people, Rach, have you ever bought anything directly through a social channel? No, but so now what you do, so Rachel's actually a really good example because she generates a lot of, leads in business for what she does on the side. She does all portrait photography. So she's displaying all of her work across her Instagram platform, and she's tagging the people that she's working with. And, from not only what you're posting, but then what you allow other people to post from the work that you've done, that's when you start getting all of your inquiries. So for you, it's not necessarily, and correct me at any point where I'm like misstepping what it is that's going on. You'll have people that send you direct messages that are like, hey, I want to work with you. How much does this cost? So you're going through the whole process of, all right, what does my pricing need to be for these things? Now that I'm in a higher demand, my price also has to reflect that. And, that's all through a conversation. So she's not necessarily generating any traffic to a website, or people are purchasing directly through her Instagram, but people are sending her direct messages. Hey, this is something I'm interested in. Can we get on a call? So again, this is where it all comes back to what's most important for your business and where does social media fit into the end game.
So just a little trick for the audience members, if you don't know this, if you have a Gmail address, like say moderndrivenmedia@gmail.com, I don't know, okay, if that's really an address, you can customize your email address if you give the email address to somebody, so that when you receive an email from them, you know where it came from. So for example, if the email address was moderndrivenmedia@gmail.com, you can type modern driven media with a plus sign, and then anything after that that's unique to whatever you're trying to do at gmail.com. You can do an infinite number of those. And that way you can keep track of when you get email, you'll be able to know where it started. So that's an interesting little trick. I use that all the time.
We have, so we're a HubSpot certified agency partner. If anybody's familiar with HubSpot, it's a marketing automation tool. So one of the things that we love most about it is it allows us to attribute where all of our leads are coming from. And even though someone may have, filled out a form where they wanted to have a consultation with our agency through an email, you might go back, 4 or 5 steps, and it was, this specific social media post that caught their attention. They went and looked at a few different pages on our website. Then because they filled out something on our website, we had their email address. We sent them something that said, kick off 2020. Let's make sure your strategy is in place. And that's what got them to actually do a consultation with us. But oftentimes, again, social media is really in that awareness phase. So it might have been the start to a longer, relationship.
So what you're talking about is email automation. And there's a whole universe of
That's a whole different conversation.
topics. We've done many workshops on that and planning to do many more. So that's a whole different subject. Any other questions? Wait for the microphone, Carrie.
You got to wait long.
The cord's long enough.
So I actually have two separate types of questions.
Sure.
I've done a lot of reading where there's a lot of pundits in the social media industry that say that boosting is a waste of money or not of any value. I was wondering anecdotally whether you agree with that or you've seen boosting as a valuable strategy. And the second question is, through the lens of revenue generation, the idea of using groups and how that might add value to you.
Sure. So starting off with the boosting, I think boosting is a great first way to appeal to a bigger audience, but that shouldn't be your only advertising strategy. Facebook really does have a wonderful platform that goes way, way, way beyond boosted posts. Boost, again, that gives you some engagement, some interaction, more visibility. And that's important at one stage of what it is that you're doing for your business. You need to get in front of new people, especially if it's a specific type of group of people. But if you just stop there, you might not be getting them to your website. You might not be getting them to do some type of action. So I think it's a great way to get started, but it shouldn't be your only strategy when it comes to advertising. And then as far as Facebook groups, this is actually a really good point. I meant to bring this up earlier when it comes to like brand advocacy and influencers. How many of you are in either local groups or have responded to someone who's asked for recommendations on social media? So this is another way, again, that you can leverage people that are already online that have worked with your business. Your current clients, as long as they're happy, they're going to be your biggest promoters, right? So it may require you to encourage them to do that. But groups, it's a really great way, especially if you're a local business or a very niche market, to provide value because you know exactly who that audience is. So they could be locally based, it could be an industry, it could be an interest, whatever it may be. It's a very focused group where you're able to share value and be, again, not just promoting your business, but be a part of a community where you're able to establish more trust. So I think they're a really great avenue. You just have to figure out which one is best for you to get in because it's a time commitment. That's not something you can automate. That's not something you can scale. It's going to take time to build up those relationships. So you want to make sure you're doing it in the right groups.
So you made a comment before which really surprised me. If I understood you correctly, you said in this election year, with all the money, I can't even imagine how much money is going to be spent on political ads, that's going to raise the rates for, let's say, non-political ad users. Do you have evidence to support that, or is that? Tell us about that, because that's crazy, I think.
Well, the more money that is going into the platform, it's just going to raise all the rates if you want to reach the same people. So
why?
Supply and demand. There's only so much advertising space, and if people are outbidding you,
there is. Why would there be limited amount of advertising space? I don't understand. How many Facebook ads or posts do you see in a day? May not know the answer, but a lot, right? So if you got 10 more, would it make a difference to you?
It would, because I don't want to see all ads. So, and it really depends. It's, you might be on social media, but you might not just be scrolling on social media for hours. So you might go on for a specific purpose. You want to check your notifications. You might do a quick scroll for a minute. So that's just visibility that you have with the amount of time that you're on there. So it's really the users that are doing the supply and demand, because you're not necessarily scrolling on there for hours and hours. Oh, some people are scrolling on there for hours and hours and hours. But you know what I mean? Like it's you kind of are in control of how much you see based off of how often and you're using the platform.
So I know Google will rank you higher on the page based on SEO or how much money you pay for your keyword. Is there a similar model in the case of Facebook? In other words, does Facebook put you higher up in the feed based on something? I'm talking about Facebook. So, okay, I didn't realize there was a limited inventory.
Well, let's just say, say you have 10 companies that are all, let's say, trying to target people within a certain zip code that have these types of behaviors. So the person who's bidding the most amount, and it's not only just bidding the most amount, but the people that have the highest amount of engagement and just positive experience, they're going to do an equal promotion for. So your bid's going to help you outbid your competitors. But then also Facebook has all different other, Facebook, Instagram, really all social media platforms are also looking at how relevant this is to the audience that you're targeting. If they see that people aren't interested, aren't clicking, aren't liking, are just scrolling past, they're going to look at this as, hey, this isn't a good user experience for our audience. And then you're going to start getting punished for that. So it's going to start with your bid. You simply have to outbid other people in order to stay relevant and get in front of more eyes. But then it's equally as important to make sure it's relevant to your audience. It's a message they want to see.
So it's really not pricing. Your bidding is like an auction.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, is that the pricing model?
Yeah.
It's an
So
auction?
your bid will come back to how big your budget is. Depends on if you are segmenting your time. So there's some people that will say, all right, we only want to show ads between, noon and 8 p.m. So if you're doing that, your bid will be higher during those hours compared to people that are just trying to spread $100 across the day. If you have $100 to 8 hours rather than 24 hours, your bid amount during that time is going to automatically be higher. And Facebook really does a great job of setting automatic bidding where, at the end of the day, Facebook knows their platform best, and they'll help you set some of these automatic bids. As a company, if you don't want to pay more than $10 per lead generated, you can control that, but Facebook can help you optimize that.
So is one of the skill sets of modern driven media the ability to navigate through this bidding process with your clients?
Yeah, it's going to start with really having an idea of who you want your audience to be. And that's why I say if your audience is tighter, if you are looking to have a broad audience and you're trying to reach 1 million people compared to having a more narrowed audience of, let's say, 50,000 people, it's going to take you a lot further in reaching just that audience because it's not being spread out across too wide of a net. But yeah, what we do is we really help figure out who the audience is, what the messaging needs to be, and then have a budget that is relative to staying competitive in that, targeting capability.
Hold on, Paulina. Wait for the microphone. I want to hear every word Paulina has to say. It's going to cost you, don't worry.
I know. It's the same thing if you go to the radio, because I was advertising for many years ago. If you want to advertise 5 to 6 o'clock when people drive, it's going to cost you more. If you want to advertise at 2 o'clock, it's the same thing. So,
yep. Supply and demand.
Yeah, you need to know exactly who you want to.
Exactly.
If we have a highly targeted list,
Mm-hmm.
you had mentioned earlier about you used the term small budget. Based on everything I'm hearing here now, what's a good definition of what entails a small budget?
Oh man, all right. So, yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to just have a general idea for a budget that would work for all of you. The things that you have to consider though is the competition in your audience target, how big your audience is, and then what your objective is. So for example, we have a brand of store locations, right? And one of the advertising campaigns, we have multiple campaigns running for them. One of them is just general awareness in their local community. They service people that are within 5 to 7 miles of each of their location. So for that, we have it running at $10 a day. Since the beginning of the month, we've reached over 200,000 impressions from it. So that got us a lot of visibility. That's not necessarily generating that much revenue for them immediately. So we have another ad running that, based off of the people that are showing interest and have been to the website, on certain pages of the website, we are getting them to get an instant pricing on the website. And that we have at $25 a day, because we know to get them to actually accomplish that, we allow Facebook to really optimize it to the people that are going to take that next step based off of some of the characteristics that we're showing. So it depends on who you want to target and what you actually want to accomplish for them. I recommend, it's so hard to say with what budget is good or not, because it really depends on. Yep. But that works for them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can get up there. I've also seen people just do $5 a day, and they're just looking to get awareness. I've also seen campaigns be, hey, we have $500 and we want to run this for 3 weeks. So there's ways that you can either put in an overall budget for a certain amount of time, or you can do a daily budget over an extended period of time. So it really depends on how you want to get started. What I do recommend is you don't want to make your advertising campaigns too short, because it takes Facebook some time to optimize your campaigns and really get it in front of the target audience. So you don't want to limit yourself to like a week-long campaign and really hope to get a lot of traffic out of it. You want to give Facebook time to learn who your audience is, test out your messaging, and get it in front. So just be sure not to limit yourselves. But if you go to the Facebook advertising platform, it'll give you an idea of how many people you're expected to reach. And, if you're doing something like website conversions, based off of the budget you put in, it'll say estimated, 50,000 people reached and 10 leads to your website. So it helps you figure out, okay, with this budget, here's what you can anticipate as far as results, and it allows you to scale it from there.
Hi, is there anything, I guess, any research coming out on public saturation of advertising? So, for example, I go on Google and I get blasted with ads. I went to Ruby Tuesdays for dinner the other night, and all of a sudden, within like a minute after I left, they emailed me with a survey, and I consider that an invasion of privacy. So basically, I'm pushing back any unsolicited ad I refuse to buy from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. And that's where it comes back to the idea that you want to be strategic. And the best recommendation I can give is the right message at the right time to the right person. It's when you're just looking to sell, or be intrusive, that's when people are really deterred from it. And there is some research around that about how well it fits into the way that, where you are at in the buyer's journey, because it's easy to lose sales if you're just, that gnat on the wall that doesn't go away, right? And so it's really all about making sure you're relative and then providing value. So going back to that whole idea, you want to provide value. What's important to them needs to be important to you, not the other way around.
It's actually much worse than what you said. You're trying to, this is for everybody in the room, try an experiment. When you're home or anywhere, put your phone in front of you. Make sure it's just turned on, but not on any web page, and have a conversation either with yourself or whoever is sitting in front of you about some topic that you've never talked about before. Like, for example, you want to travel to Bali, just as an example. I assure you, within 24 or 48 hours, you're going to start getting ads about traveling to Bali, or travel agents or airplane. They're listening to you, and that's part of this whole, we're calling it social media, if you want to use social media in the broadest terms. But yeah, all this is happening today. Wait for the microphone, please. What's that?
Can I guess, inhibit some of that by just keeping my phone on airplane while I'm not Or
I
not
don't
using
know.
it?
It's possible. I don't know that. We have an
So-
expert here.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about this. No, you go first.
So it depends on what exactly you're trying to prevent tracking, because during this entire conversation, myself, I was thinking it's really hard to be advertised to when I don't see any ads, because when I go to a website, I'm essentially invisible because I will not allow people to track me. I will not be retargeted for all of these various reasons. In your TVs, for example, if you have a commercial service and you're getting TV, they put subsonic signals into programming so that when you have your phone with you, it will respond and reach out to their servers. So you can do things like turn your phone off, but the more prevalent answer is stick to services who aren't going to advertise to you all that much. Move away from large platforms like Google because they are turning you into a product. They will continue to advertise to you. The use of alias emails, which is what Don was referring to, so you specifically know if you do not want to be targeted, use that capability and just delete it when you're done with it.
And what we've seen as well on social media, on just Google searches in general, they're giving you a lot more, they're giving consumers more opportunities to become more private, but it's things that you have to do yourself. It's not just automatically done for you. So unless you do something to fix your privacy settings and things along those lines, you basically gave consent to let all of this happen. So it's a step that you need to take and do your due diligence with. If not, they just assume that it's okay.
In the example that you gave of dining at Ruby Tuesdays, so Google knows your location and that you were at that location for, let's say, an hour. So it knew that you were at Ruby Tuesdays, therefore you are now targeted as a Ruby Tuesdays customer. You know, and that's just how, that's the way the world is today.
And that's where,
Or the track, exactly, or both.
and when we were talking about the idea of store visits earlier, that's a way that you're able to track. So you're able to put information back in, but based off of, they can also see if you come on property, if you have your Wi-Fi hooked up, and, you know, based on your location settings and things along those lines. So it is a little concerning, and a lot. I agree.
I'm going to take it a step further. As you walk through the grocery store, I don't know about the local grocery stores around here, but I've been involved in developing some of this technology. When you stand in an aisle in front of the cornflakes, they know that. And you'll get an ad on your phone for a discount for Kellogg's cornflakes or whatever the item is, because they know that you're standing there for 30 or 60 or 90 seconds. Yeah.
Isn't this unless you have your location turned off? I mean, we could do a whole nother session on security and Firefox Focus, and I have some suggestions for you. I can email to you on how to mitigate some of that, but that might be, you know, a whole nother topic.
All various things. So for location tracking, if you're turning your location off, that only means up to a certain point. If you still have your Bluetooth active, it tracks Bluetooth beacons. If you have your Wi-Fi active, it'll track Wi-Fi beacons. Depends on what exactly it is. For the credit card statement, are you taking and purchasing with a credit card and that receipt is going to Gmail? They're reading it through your email and they're sending it to you, and that's how they know. So it depends on if you're isolating and compartmentalizing wherever your vulnerabilities are. Even Windows, for example, if anybody is using Windows 10, not only are you paying for the product, you actually are the product too. Because I'm going to assume most of you didn't really deep dig down into it and turn off all the diagnostic policies and the other things they collect about you. They actually check every single file that you have on your computer. So that's just something to keep in mind.
And as far as the location settings that you're talking about, there's the cellular network location services, there's the Wi-Fi network location services, there's the Bluetooth network location services, and there's the near field communication radio communications, location services. So unless you know how to manage all of that, you're screwed. That's right. That's right. I guess, will you wait for the microphone and repeat that, please?
That's a really good point.
So Shannon, would you like to sit down while we have this conversation?
Sure.
No.
That's why I recommend dumpster diving. That's a very private enterprise.
Yeah.
I actually had two questions.
Sure.
One, do you have any suggestions on building subscriber base on YouTube? And where in the process would your company typically be brought in? Do you create a website also if somebody needs that, or do you come in anywhere in the process?
Sure. So I think YouTube advertising is another really great way to advertise. YouTube is the most popular TV station, right? That's what most people are watching. Again, it's another avenue of where people are getting their information. So it really is going to come back to where your audience is. And if you know they are watching YouTube, which a majority of people are, so that's like one that's pretty safe. It's the same thing with Facebook. Facebook has, the most amount of users on it. YouTube is the most popular TV station, if you will. So it's just making sure it's a good avenue for you as long as your audience is actually using it. And then as far as what it is that we do, so we started off just as a social media agency when we first got launched, but now we really do everything around online lead generation. We focus on content. So it starts with the website. We either build off of a website that you already have, or we help you establish one. And we focus on things like search engine optimization, social media, advertising, email marketing, and lead nurturing. So we're really doing all things relative to content online that'll help you generate leads to grow your business.
Okay, we're coming down to the wire here. Does anybody have any final questions?
You're going to throw me for a loop, aren't you?
How many months prior to the actual election do you typically see a rise in the cost of the advertising?
So we're already seeing it now. You're gonna see it probably like a year leading up to it. That's when people really get started. The closer you get, the higher the number of advertisements will be for it. But you typically see it within like a year time frame.
How about afterwards?
That's actually a good question. I don't have an answer for that. But I mean, it'll definitely dip down, but there's still going to be, it's going to need to like recalibrate itself, right?
Depends on who gets elected.
That's very true.
Wait. Carrie, you know better.
You have the opposite effect, because what could happen now after the election is a new floor is developed for what people are willing to pay, and they may see no reason to bring the price down again.
You're right. That's right. That's a good point.
Anyone else?
Okay, give us your sales pitch, Shanna. How can people find you, reach you, communicate with you? If you ever want to talk to this audience again, I don't know.
So you can find us on our website. We're actually getting ready to launch our new website this week, which will be really exciting. So if you've looked at it already, by midweek, it's going to look completely different, which we're very excited about. But you can reach us on our website, or you can email me directly, shana@moderndrivenmedia.com, or find me on LinkedIn. We're on all the social networks, so we would be a hypocrite if you couldn't reach out to us on there too. So
what a surprise.
What a surprise.
What a surprise.
So, but if anybody has any questions, if anybody just kind of wants to run through their business, what it is that they're doing currently, just grab me before you head out, and we'll either exchange contact information or just have a little chat before you leave.
Let's give Shana a great round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great job.